My favorite job I ever had when I was in college, I worked for what, in retrospect, was probably a drug front. Pretty sure it was. So officially it was a decking company. But my department, we just set up appointments for estimates. And we got paid like $25, $30 an hour for that. So that's shady on its face. The other thing about it was half the people were college students, half were like fresh out of prison. Like one day out. Our boss was on a work release program. He had 9 felonies and went by Felony Freddy, okay? Freddy wanted everyone to drop out of college. He would mock us for going to school. My friend John was a business major, and he had his book out on the table in our meeting before we went out. And Freddy just goes up to him and goes, "You don't need that shit." Yeah, dude. He goes, "I didn't even finish high school. Look at me." And John's like, "Yeah, that's my point too." Like, yeah. And Freddy goes, "Give me any vocab word." It's like, when's the last time you heard an adult say vocab word? And John's like, "All right, well, what does this mean?" Fred's answer is way off, and John tells him, and Fred goes, "Maybe in your book, but that's not how it is in the real world, all right? I didn't finish school, and I'm still your boss, so fuck your book." And he takes the book, throws it at the wall, and then he turns around and goes, "You're fired." John's like, "For what?" And then Fred goes, "I rethought it, and now you're hired, because life is about second chances." One day, I'm in the passenger seat, and this guy, Marcus, is driving. I went to school with him. I'd never met him before this day. Never been in a van with him. We're driving down the interstate. He just slams on the brakes. Middle of the highway. Complete stop. Everyone's swerving around us. Everyone's freaking out in the van like, "What's going on, Marcus? What's going on?" And he's just like, "Oh, nothing." I was like, "Can you pull over to the side of the road?" He's like, "Do you think I should?" "Absolutely. I think yes." And he goes, "Okay." Slowly pulls over, right? All right, get out of the van. I call Freddie. I was like, "Fred, we're on 95. Marcus just slams on the brakes." Freddie goes, "Yeah, that's going to happen from time to time." I said, "Why would that happen from time to time?" And he goes, "Well, he has seizures." I said, "Why is he driving? Is he allowed to drive?" And Freddie goes, "Well, not according to the government. I play by my own rules, as you know." And I said, "But why is he driving?" And he goes, "Dude, when he's on, he's fucking on." I was like, what does that even mean? We're driving a minivan through the suburbs, not shooting a Jason Statham movie. And then he goes, "Dude, he's top 3 in the state at hitting green lights." I'm like, that's not a real stat. No one measures that. How stupid do you think I am? We were with this other guy, this guy Chris from Denver. He was the dumbest man on the planet. He was a white guy. Everyone knows this type of guy. He was this white guy who just wanted the black guys who worked there to think he was cool. Everything he did in his life was to make the black guys who worked there think he was cool. He would try to freestyle in the van constantly. It was the most uncomfortable shit I've ever been near. One day he just turns down the radio. Everyone rolls their eyes like this shit again. And he just goes, "Trees and shit." He's like, "That's all I got for now, all right." And just turns it back up. It's like, "Chris, do you not have a filter in your brain? Or did trees and shit get to the filter? And your brain was like, let it through. Let it through. Let the world know about trees and shit." The most uncomfortable thing he did, one day, he pulls out a photo of a baby. All right? And we're like, "Who is that?" And he goes, "That's my son." And we're like, "Well, that's not good for the planet, but all right." I said, "How old is he?" And then he goes, this is a direct quote. He goes, "My girl shit him out last month." It's the most revolting sentence in the English language. I wish I did not know how old his son was. I did not want to hear that sentence. But I do want to think that that's how he thinks it works. That's not even the uncomfortable part. This was the uncomfortable part. Someone said, "What's his name?" He locks eyes with every black dude in the room, just one at a time, and he goes, "Justice." He's like, I get it. Yeah, this is justice. It's like, man, you were trying way too hard. You can't be a white guy and name your kid Justice. That'd be like if I was like, yeah, this is my son, Brown versus the Board of Education. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not his full name. His middle name is Montgomery Bus Boycott. We call him Monty. Please like me. Just trying way too hard. Also, a white guy named Justice does not sound like an ally. It sounds like a renegade sheriff. With a show on TNT. Justice is part of the problem this fall. It's everyone's first day. You're trying to get a read for him. So listen, is this guy in school? Or he just get out of prison? What's their deal? If you look for obvious signs like types of tattoos, like I'd be like, oh, teardrop tattoo, art student. I was horrible at it. One day I'm driving. This guy Calvin is in the car with me, and I'm thinking he's in school just based on everything about him. And so I was like, "What'd you do before this?" And he's like, "I haven't worked in a minute." I was like, "What have you been doing?" He was like, "Well, I was in the pen for 4 years, but because I saw him as a student, when he said the pen, instead of hearing penitentiary, my brain translated to University of Pennsylvania." And I go, "Oh man, my uncle went there too." He's like, "For real?" And I was like, "Yeah, what did you major in?" And then he goes, "Attempted murder." And I was like, "Oh shit, my uncle was public policy. Things have changed. Then we became pretty friendly, and I found out what he did, and it was hilarious the way I reacted to it, because there was a pawn shop across the street from my high school. There was an incident there when I was in high school, and it turned my school into lockdown for 6 hours. So then once I found out that he was responsible for it, I was just like, "That was you? I can't believe I'm hanging out with you right now." Like I turned into a Manson woman. Like I'm just in the cult. Like every time he got out of the van, I was just calling up people from high school like, "You remember the pawn shop shooting?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Guess who I'm hanging out with right now?" They're like, "Get out of the van, dude." I'm like, "Nah, you just don't understand people like me and Calvin. We're different." Straight.